What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Still Straight Fire Running Podcast. Today, we are joined by former Wake Forest and current University of Oregon athlete Luke Tewalt. At Wake, Luke set PBs of 3:59 in the mile, 7:39 in the 3K, and 13:36 in the 5K, en route to becoming an 8-time All-ACC athlete and 5-time All-American runner. Luke recently made the move to the University of Oregon, where he'll run outdoor track next year to finish out his remaining NCAA eligibility. Luke, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Stu. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So it's pretty much every young runner's dream to run at Oregon. What made you decide to transfer to Oregon to finish up the small amount of eligibility that you have left?
Yeah, there, like you said, it's a dream to run for the University of Oregon and be an Oregon Duck. I absolutely loved my undergraduate experience at Wake Forest. I think it was so formative and important for me to have been at Wake. But yeah, I had this little bit of eligibility left over, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to still use it because I only had an outdoor season. There aren't very many programs that would want to give a full scholarship to a distance runner with only a single season of eligibility. But the University of Oregon here is trying to win a national championship on the track, and I'm someone who is able to contribute at that level. And we just came to an agreement, and everything seemed to work. Uh, and I ended up here at Oregon. So wasn't I never really saw this in my future, but to be here is absolutely amazing.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. No, going off of that, although you were very solid in high school, what would you have told that kid who held PBs of 4:14 in the mile, 9:15 in the 2 mile, and 15:35? If you had told him that that kid would be running at Oregon in 5 years, what would he say?
He'd be pretty stoked. First of all, he'd be really, really, really hyped to hear that. Um, I don't think he would know how he was going to get there. But you know, just when if there's a possibility, I know there's a way, and I think that's what allowed me to get to this point where the University of Oregon is recruiting me. Was just that hard work and just absolute love for competing.
Mhm.
My high school coach instilled in me, and I grew to develop.
Absolutely. What would you say the main thing for that improvement is? Was it just like a different training style? Was it accumulation of just years of hard work? What was that?
Coach Hayes is one of, if not the best coach in the NCAA. He took me in as an underdeveloped 17-year-old kid. Um, and he turned me into, a absolute machine and someone who's competing regularly on the NCAA national stage. And the biggest thing was just mileage and running, that I just had to do more of it. And I was really young. And then in high school, I just didn't run very much, and I was running 4 to 5 days a week. So, there's just so much room for improvement. And Coach Hayes just saw the potential, and, he guided me really, really. It was a gentle guidance, like, when I was running 4 to 5 days a week in high school. And now, I'm regularly running 85 to 90 miles in a week.
Mhm.
And so, but in order to do it sustainably, I think that was the challenge. And I think Coach Hayes just absolutely nailed it. Every year we eventually just bumped up my mileage a little bit more and a little bit more. And as I absorbed the new stimulus and the training, it was really just those miles on the legs that I needed. And to do it in a fashion that was sustainable and not too aggressive was super key. And Coach Hayes really locked in on that and really got me to reach the potential that I have. And, I'm still untapped. I think there's still more to give, much more to give. I know there is, but he really got me to where I'm at right now just by, slowly adding the miles on. And cranking up the intensity as needed.
For sure. Yeah. So if you had someone who's in your shoes, kind of coming into the college scene running 4 or 5 days a week, and they really want to make that jump to the next level of mileage, is there any specific like recovery tools that you used, or is it more of just like that slow transition that you talked about that you would attribute being able to stay healthy with that increase in mileage?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one single thing that I would attribute, but to like being able to handle the load. But when when I was a freshman walking onto campus, the first thing that was drilled into my head was the importance of recovery and being able to get as much, and the best way to do that is getting as much sleep as possible. We always shot for 10 hours. If we get 70 hours a week of sleeping, that was just the golden goal. And just prioritizing recovery, because if you're not developed, and you try to just add everything all at once and you're not recovering, it's it's not going to be a successful transition, right? And it took me learning. I mean, my freshman year, I wasn't recovering very well, even though we were doing it right. I just had to make some lifestyle changes for sure. But yeah, it's about consistency and staying healthy, and you can't become a better runner if you can't stay healthy. So that was number one that I learned, is just stay healthy by prioritizing recovery, as we transition from high school training into more intense college training.
Gotcha. As you made that transition, did you ever experience any injuries? I know you had an Achilles thing flare up last year, but anything kind of substantial that kept you out for a long block of time?
Yeah, I mean, so I never had, knock on wood, I haven't had any like bone stress injuries or those like big, a fracture or anything crazy like that. But it's always, I always get like little things that'll pop up here and there. My Achilles, for example, I have Achilles issues, like especially when it comes to indoor track. That's what I've learned. And I just had to prioritize rehabbing and strengthening my calves, in order to keep my Achilles, strong, and healthy. But and then there was I lost a season of outdoor track because I had a really nagging hamstring injury that wouldn't go away. So that was difficult. And I think back to that time, and it was never really the training that got me hurt. It was just always what always, ends. It's when I'm not prioritizing recovery, that's what it is. That's what gets me every time. Every time that I've had a little thing, I was realize, and when I reflect deeply, I know that I wasn't doing everything I could to stay healthy.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
no, it definitely makes sense. And talking about that transition to Wake originally, it was during COVID. And what was
mhm.
that transition like to Wake? And then moving on 5 years later, the transition from Wake to Oregon. How are those two jumps? And was there anything that you would give like a high school student who's going into college for the first time, kind of advice to ease that transition for them?
Yeah, I mean, the transition to Wake out of high school was just, it was very unique to say the least. Coming in and having to quarantine for the first 3 days in your bed in your dorm room. It was just me and my dorm mates, and we weren't allowed to like go outside. We had our meals delivered to our front door, and we had to do that. We couldn't run for like 2, 3 days. And like my classes were pretty much mostly online. I had a couple hybrid classes where maybe a third of the class would meet on one day and a third of the class would meet on the other, and everyone else just online. So it was definitely not traditional. I never had a freshman orientation. Didn't go through a lot of the things that first year students do. We just went through our own thing, and it was definitely, it was difficult not being able to be I'm a really social guy. And so I loved meeting people, but like that was something that was really limited at the time. Uh, but I think that time definitely allowed me to really close with the guys that um, I I came into college with, and the guys on the team. It just allowed us to really bond together by going through, some sort of adversity, some sort of weird situation all together. And so I think that really set the um set the team up, honestly, for a lot of success, just because we were so focused on ourselves, focused on each other. Like as a group, we were focused on staying healthy, avoiding COVID, and just trying to figure it out. But the transition here, now I'm, in my sixth year of college, so I'm very like assured. I know what I'm doing. I know who I need to talk to, how to register for classes. I know what's important to me. I know who I am as a person. And I think that's really just maturity from being in college for a couple of years has made this transition really easy. Oh, also not being in a worldwide pandemic made the transition a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, my advice would just be, when you're going into college or a new place, like it's exciting. And if you can buy into, meeting as many people as you can and being that friendly voice, you draw so much positive energy. I think that's what people are nervous because people don't think that other people are going to like them. But if you make yourself, not, if it's impossible to like you, like
Mhm.
you're so good. So
Yeah.
that's why I realized that just being super positive, super excited and interested in other people has allowed me to transition to Oregon really smoothly. And that's my biggest piece of advice. Yeah, positivity, gratitude, and excitement about meeting other people have made the transition really easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can attest that you definitely practice what you preach there. You're one of the friendly faces who I first met on campus and definitely made the transition a whole lot easier.
I
Definitely
appreciate
someone
that,
who
bro.
was at the top of the team, and a little bit nervous to meet the guys, and it has really made that transition easier. So, um, yeah, kind of going off that recent transition, you've had two crazy transitions. One was you're an 18-year-old moving like a state away during COVID, and the second one you're moving across the country, but you've had that extra experience. And now you spent some time out in Utah. Was that your first time out at altitude?
It was my second time out at altitude. I did a summer after my freshman year, summer of 2021, pretty much I did 2 months in Flagstaff with the entire Wake uh, team. And so this was my second stint at altitude. And it was a lot of fun.
Gotcha. How did your body react to that? And is that something that you would consider going back to as you transition, hopefully into that professional scene next year?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I would love to do again. I transitioned really well to it, honestly. And I give a lot of credit just to learning how to deal with altitude back to my teammate and now coach, John Lapino. When I was going into my sophomore year, that summer that I was in Flagstaff, Coach Lapino he was one of my teammates at the time, but he just knew so much about human physiology, so much about elite training and running, and what he said about taking the transition, like running up there, you got to be really, really easy with all your easy days. Staying super hydrated, getting as much rest as possible, just doing all the things to promote as much recovery as I could. That those were all things that I learned from Coach Lapino, and he really helped me this time when I'm on my own, using that knowledge that I got from him. I was able to have a really good block up in Utah, and I had a really great training time.
No, for sure. So I do have one question to go off of that, but just quickly before we go into that next question, now that you've experienced both the humidity of North Carolina and altitude training, what's your stance on the debate? Can humidity really be called poor man's altitude?
I mean, I think I, yes, running in humidity is so much harder.
Mhm.
Not only because it is so much harder because you sweat so much and you have to convince yourself to go outside and deal with that heat twice a day, once a day. You have to, it's so uncomfortable and annoying to train in high humidity, high heat summers of North Carolina. I think altitude training is much easier, mentally for sure.
Mhm. As hey, living on the East Coast, I'll take that. Makes us seem a little bit tougher out here.
Oh, absolutely. I think altitude low key might make you soft.
If you heard it here first. What's the dream training location for Luke Tewalt?
Mm. So after being in Park City, I thought it was really awesome. Um, Beautiful, beautiful place. Personally, I thought the trails and community and vibes in Flagstaff are were peak.
Mhm.
I really, really enjoyed that. Um, so yeah, I think if I could train anywhere, I'd definitely try to get back to Flagstaff for a little bit. But somewhere in my mind, I would definitely love to go out to um, like one of the East African countries like Ethiopia or Kenya and really just dial in and train up there with all the greats.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently had Jake Smith, UK runner on the podcast, and he was talking about his time with the NN running team out in
Hmm.
Ethiopia, and that just sounded incredible. But what's upgraded from his time, he was out there in about 2022, and now he says they have an official track. So
Oh
maybe by
wow.
the time that you go out there will be an even better training location.
Oh, for sure. That'd be
But
sick.
yeah, so you talk so much about the bonds and just like creating those intricate connections with people. How much have your teammates helped you over the years, both on and off the track?
I mean, it's immeasurable. I mean, what is life without, great relationships? I think the people who have been around me every day, all my teammates make training worth it. My coaches, the time that they sacrifice and, put into helping me out. But yeah, those bonds between my teammates, like I really consider almost every guy that I've been teammates with truly like a brother to me.
Hmm.
You know, the because I've seen the work that they put in and I've seen the care and dedication that they have to this passion that we share as well as just being great, decent humans. I mean, I've been so lucky to be around so many just kind and caring and true friends.
Hmm.
And running has brought me an entire family that I'm just so grateful for. I think without the teammates I had at Wake, and now as I get to know everyone at Oregon's, but my time at Wake, I found my brothers. It was truly incredible, and that honestly is probably the greatest part about my time running in college has been all my really great friends and brothers that I've met along the way.
No, for sure. I mean, everyone here still talks about you. It's like you're still on campus with us. We miss you. So definitely
Oh
made
man,
that connection worth it.
it
Um,
means a lot.
And yeah, so you also have spoken about how much Coach Hayes meant to you and how helpful he was in your development, both on and off the track. Now you've switched coaches, and just kind of going into that transition, how much of your coaching is currently done by Schumacher and how much is done by Solinsky or kind of the assistants?
Oh yeah, no, Jerry coaches. He does all the coaching, like he writes all the workouts, and determines the plan for us, like just training wise. But Chris is like um, he was big with the recruiting and piece, and he really provides a great insight um, because he's been in our shoes before, and he's been in the shoes that I aspire to, and everyone else aspires to be. An American record holder, history setting guy. and just an absolute monster when it comes to training. So he's been someone that I've really enjoyed, no, just bouncing ideas off of. But Jerry writes all the workouts, determines when we're going to race, like how much we're going to be working out, what the paces are, and stuff like that.
Yeah. What is that like? I mean, I know that I personally have looked up to Solinsky and just seeing his time racing against Rupp back in the earlier 2000s. And what's it
Mhm.
like now to be coached by that guy that you probably looked up to as a kid?
I mean, it's pretty surreal, you know. I mean, I remember watching his sub 27 performance on YouTube, just like it's nuts, and that's what the University of Oregon brings is legacy and a legacy of greatness. And by bringing in guys like Chris Solinsky, Jerry Schumacher, um, it's publicly made and publicly known that excellence and greatness is the standard, and to have people like Chris and Jerry uh, around every day and coaching us up and helping us out. Um, I just couldn't be in a better situation uh, for setting up my future.
Yeah, for sure. So what does that current coaching setup look like with having with your coaches having to balance both the Oregon teams and the Bowerman teams? And like, do you ever see some of that Bowerman athletes out there with y'all?
Well, I've only been here in Eugene for like a week now, so I'm not really sure how that dynamic is, but they have their own locker room, and but I don't feel it doesn't feel like I honestly I don't even know when Jerry coaches the Bowerman
Mhm.
team, but I mean I'm super excited because I think we get to do workouts, or I just get to watch them work out or something like that. But there isn't any overlap.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, do you ever like see them out on the trails or something like that?
yeah, I mean I've seen like Mohamed when we were in Park City. I saw him getting ready for Worlds, and but he's the only Bowerman guy that I've seen, and that wasn't even here in Eugene.
Interesting. So, yeah, I guess that answers my next question there. But moving on, Oregon's known for kind of having just like insane workouts. And although you've only been out there for a little bit over a month, is there a session that you've done so far that was like pretty brutal or that like you'd like to share with the audience?
I mean, Jerry wants us to like keep our training private and all that good stuff. But I mean, it's been pretty it's different than the stuff that I was doing at Wake. And I think it's really it's more intense. And it's a little bit more fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm just super excited to see how I can develop off of this training for sure.
Yeah, so you mentioned a lot about with your first transition to the weight training, building more mileage. You had to implement a lot of more time to recovery. Are you doing anything different in terms of recovery now that the intensity load has changed, or are you kind of just trying to emulate those same patterns that you made at Wake?
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely super locked in on trying to recover off of everything. I've like bumped my mileage down a little bit and incorporated a little bit more cross training in for my easy days and stuff. But yeah, we have great access to like boost treadmill, light speed lift, ellipticals, all that. So I mean at Wake I was running a lot on the boost treadmill, and that's something that I've continued to do here, especially with the intensity um on the quality days. So having that reduction in impact with tools like the boosts and light speed treadmills have been super helpful for me.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, that all sounds great. And kind of looking forward, you are just going to be training throughout this cross country and indoor season. Do you have any races planned for that time, or are you just solely focusing on outdoors?
right at the moment, I'm just focusing on outdoors, but I think I'll probably run a couple tune-up races
Mhm.
throughout the indoor season. But I mean, as Jerry and I work together, we'll learn, what my ideal distance is going to be and what workouts we're going to do and how I just react to the training. But definitely will tune up a little bit throughout the indoor season. But yeah, the outdoor season and the outdoor NCAA season and then the summer season are definitely that's my North Star right now.
No, for sure. And what are your goals for those 2 seasons and eventually beyond there? Do you want to get into the professional scene, hopefully?
Absolutely. Yeah. My number one the reason I came out here is because I want to be a professional runner for Nike.
Mhm.
And that this is, I think, the best situation to be um, in order to reach that goal. So, I'm going to do whatever I can um, to show that I am ready to compete at that next level, by doing as best as I can here in the NCAA.
Mhm. How do you think that your time in the NCAA, you came through the ACC when it was arguably the best conference in the entire country, and now you're going to compete at Oregon, obviously just known for its history with running. How do you think those high pressure moments that you've dealt with previously in the ACC and now moving on to Oregon, how do you think that that's going to help you in your future professional career?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, at in the ACC, I was competing against guys making world championship and Olympic teams. And so, I mean, what else? Like, there's no better competition than that. And now being surrounded by great talent, equal to that caliber, I try to put myself into situations where um, I'm going to be pushed to be as good as I can be.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, no fear has always been number one. If you run with fear or doubt or compete with fear or doubt, you're not going to get the best result that you can reach and achieve. So, just going into competitions, super fired up, super locked in, laser focused. Those are the things that I've found myself to be uh, leading to my success. And obviously, like, number one is just gratitude is always number one, like I'm so grateful to be healthy, so grateful to be, in the situations that I find myself in, because it allows me to reach heights that I never dreamed of or thought that I would ever be at. So, coming to a place like Oregon and competing in the ACC, those have all, helped me develop and get ready for the biggest challenges that I face.
No, absolutely. Well, I will say this has been an incredible conversation, and I know that with those resources you now have access to and your dedication, your positivity, that's going to take you to incredible heights. So I personally can't wait to see what you do repping the O on your chest this year and hopefully the swoosh beyond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you
Let's go
again, Luke, for coming
Ducks.
on. Yeah, I'll put that in the clip at the end. But thank you. This was episode 5 of the Still Straight Fire Running podcast, and I hope you guys enjoyed that.
All right, thanks, Stuart.